Bitcoin may be the star of the crypto world, but let's be honest, it's not the only actor on stage. If Bitcoin is the leading man, then altcoins are stealers that keep things interesting. These altcoins compete with each other for attention, and because they got lower market caps than Bitcoin, they doesn't need that big money inflow to grow more in value. Therefore, they're more volatile than Bitcoin and offer much bigger gains or losses. In today's video, I will talk about 3 of the biggest altcoins, which are Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. After that, I'll show you some beta plays in their ecosystems that are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Think of it as a backstage pass to the cutting edge of crypto. Before we dive in, remember that nothing in this video is financial advice, and the video is prepared for educational purposes. Investing in crypto is risky, and you should not invest more than you can lose. Okay, let's get started. So what does all this talk about market caps and beta plays really mean? Let's break it down. When we look at cryptocurrencies, the absolute price of a coin isn't that important. After all, you can always buy fractions of a coin. What really matters is the percentage change in price, because that's what drives our returns. Take Bitcoin as an example. Right now, it sits at more than $2.2 trillion in market value. Ethereum, on the other hand, is around $538 billion, less than a quarter of Bitcoin's size. Coins like XRP or Solana are even smaller. Now here's the key insight. If the market puts, let's say, $100 billion into Bitcoin, the needle barely moves. But that same $100 billion going into Ethereum would translate to an 18.5% gain. For Solana, it could mean a staggering increase of 88%. And this isn't just theory. In the real world, corporations can now buy Bitcoin directly through ETFs, and we've already seen more than $65 billion net flow in that way. And that's after accounting for people who already bought and sold, taking profits along the way. That's real money that stayed in Bitcoin. These days, regulators are actively discussing ETFs for Solana and XRP as well. Imagine the potential impact when that kind of institutional money enters those smaller markets. Okay, now hop to the altcoins one by one. Let's start with Ethereum, the programmable blockchain. If Bitcoin is digital gold, Ethereum is the world's decentralized computer. Thanks to its smart contracts, little self-executing programs, you can do things like borrow money, trade tokens, or even buy digital art without middlemen. When you use a smart contract, let's say to buy digital art in the form of an NFT, the contract works like an automatic referee. It checks both sides. Does the buyer have the money? Does the seller really own the NFT? Once both conditions are met, the smart contract instantly swaps them. The buyer gets the NFT, and the seller gets the money. The beauty is, there's no middleman and no trust issues. Compare that to a face-to-face deal in real life. You could get scammed with fake art, or worse, the other person could just take your money and disappear. Smart contracts remove that risk by making the transaction automatic and secure. In 2022, Ethereum made its big move from energy-hungry mining, alias proof of work, to proof of stake, which is greener, more scalable system. The result? No more armies of computers burning electricity just to confirm your $50 NFT purchase. Of course, being popular comes with problems. Ethereum sometimes feels like rush hour traffic. Transactions slow down and gas fees shoot up. But the community is working on fixes. This raises the Layer 2 tokens like Base or Optimism, which are built on Ethereum Layer 1, but are much cheaper. Translation? More lanes on the highway. So why does Ethereum matter? It's the foundation of DeFi, NFTs, and more. When someone says, I built a dApp, odds are they built it on Ethereum. It's less about speed, but more about being the secure, decentralized home base for innovation. Next up, XRP. If Ethereum is the nerdy coder, XRP is the slick money transfer agent. Designed for payments, it moves value across borders in seconds and for fractions of a cent. Picture this. A bank in Japan wants to send millions to a bank in the UK. The old system? Slow. expensive, and filled with paperwork. With XRP, that money can jump across the globe almost instantly, like sending a text message with cash attached. The XRP ledger confirms transactions in about 3 to 5 seconds. Fees? Not even cents. Try getting your bank to give you that deal. Some critics point out that Ripple, the creating company, is still holding a big chunk of coins. But for institutions, that stability can be a feature, not a bug. And legally, XRP got a major win. US courts ruled that regular trading of XRP isn't a security. That opened the door again for US exchanges to list it. In short, XRP isn't trying to reinvent the internet. It's trying to reinvent how money moves around the globe. And it's doing a pretty good job. And then we have Solana, flash transaction provider. While Ethereum is like a trusty SUV, Solana is all about horsepower. It can process thousands of transactions per second, block times under a second, and fees so tiny they make your credit card company blush. The secret sauce? A technology called proof of history. Basically, cryptographic timestamps that keep the system running like a synchronized stopwatch. Pair that with proof of stake, and you've got a high-speed engine. Solana's been a favorite for DeFi traders, gaming projects, and yes, even meme coins. In fact, it's become one of the most active ecosystems for launching meme coins, where people can spin up coins quickly and trade them at lightning speed. It's chaotic and risky, but undeniably part of Solana's culture now. Now, to be fair, race cars skid, and because of extreme amounts of transactions, it sometimes crash. However, Solana is still pushing blockchain speed limits further than most chains dare. Before we wrap up, let's talk about a few beta plays inside these ecosystems. Beta plays are like the hidden gems of crypto. They're not as famous as the big coins, but they're quietly building on top of them, adding new features, making them faster, or improving how they work. Here's why that matters. When a major altcoin like Ethereum or Solana gets attention, some of that spotlight spills over to the smaller projects built on top of them. And because these projects usually have much smaller market caps, even a little bit of extra interest can make their prices grow much faster than the big coins. On Ethereum, one cool example is CoW swap. Normally, when you trade tokens on Ethereum, there's a big risk that trading bots will spot your order, jump in front of it, and then sell it back to you at a slightly higher price. That's called front running, and the bot owner pockets the difference. CoW swap is a decentralized exchange that protects you from those bots. It makes sure you actually get the tokens at a better price without bots cutting in line. Think of it like putting on noise-canceling headphones, but instead of blocking sound, it blocks sneaky bots trying to profit off your trades. On Solana, two names, Jupiter and Kamino. Jupiter is the one-stop aggregator for token swaps, always finding you the best price. Kamino? It automates liquidity provision so you can earn yield without needing a PhD in DeFi. The best part is that every project we've talked about has its own coin. So, if you want to ride the wave of innovation, you can simply buy those coins directly. But here's the catch. These so-called beta plays shine the most during a bull run. That's when they can explode in value, sometimes even going up 10, 50, or more than 100x. The downside is just as important to understand. When the market cools down, these smaller projects are usually the first to crash, and it's not unusual for them to lose 90% of their value. So, they can be amazing opportunities in the right phase of the market, but they also come with much higher risk. So there you have it, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana, three altcoins that prove crypto is more than just Bitcoin. Each has its own strengths, quirks, and up-and-coming projects that could change the game. Which of these do you think has the brightest future? The brain, the courier, or the race car? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and join me next time as we keep making crypto a little less complicated.